It is long past midnight, and a little girl is hiding in the dark, clutching her dead grandmother's locket, listening to a voice call her name. The voice has already called her name 3 times. The rule says come out on the 3rd, but something is wrong, so she stays frozen, and then it calls a 4th time. This is the game my grandmother taught us. And this is the night we finally learned why every single one of her rules was real. Every summer, on one night that only she chose, my grandmother gathered all the grandchildren and made us play a hiding game. It came with 7 rules. She wrote them on a card in her own shaking hand, and she made us read every line aloud before we were allowed to play, every year without fail. We thought she was just a strict old woman with a strange tradition. We were children. We had no idea what she was really doing. Rule 1, we only ever played on the night she named. Never on any other night. Not for fun, not on a dare, not ever. Rule 2, one child hides. Everyone else counts to 100 out loud together, so the hider always knows the counting has not stopped. Rule 3, when you hide, you must be holding something that belonged to her. A button, a ribbon, a coin, and you never, ever let go of it. Rule 4, if you hear humming while you hide, she is close. Stay perfectly still and do not answer it. Not even a whisper. Rule 5, she will call your name 3 times to end the game, and you do not come out no matter what you hear until the 3rd call. And Rule 6, the one she underlined twice, the one that made no sense at all to us as children. If she calls your name a 4th time, it is not her. Do not move. Do not breathe. Do not answer. Wait for the sun. We used to laugh about Rule 6, a 4th call, as if grandmother would ever lose count. She never once laughed back. And Rule 7, the last one. When the game ends, every child must be found. Every single one of them. If a child is still missing when the sun comes up, you do not go looking. You lock the doors, and you never speak their name aloud again. For years, we followed every rule without ever knowing why. And for years, nothing bad ever happened. That, it turns out, was the entire point. But small things happened if you were paying attention. The humming, some summers when grandmother was clearly asleep in her chair. The way she counted us twice every dawn, her lips moving, her eyes hard, until she was certain that every child in the line was real. Once, my cousin answered the humming. Just once, just to be funny. Grandmother found her in seconds and dragged her out by the wrist. She did not scold her. She just held that girl's face in both hands and said, "Never again." And her own hands were shaking. We grew up. We stopped believing in the game the way you stop believing in everything from childhood. But we still came back and played it. For her. Because whatever else that game was, that one night a year was the only time our whole scattered family ever came home to that house. And then this past winter, my grandmother died. She left almost nothing behind. An old house nobody wanted. A tin of buttons and ribbons. And that card, with the 7 rules, in her shaking hand. I was the one who cleared out the house. And I was the one who couldn't stop grieving. We had never said goodbye properly. We never do. Now, before I tell you what I did next, ask yourself one thing. 7 rules from a grieving old woman. Which one would you have been the first to break? Because I told myself it was harmless. I told myself it was a way to feel close to her, just one last time. So on my final night in that house, alone, I played the game. There was no one to hide from, no one to count. So I broke the very first rule. I played on a night she had not chosen. I held her locket, the way Rule 3 said. I sat in the dark of her old bedroom, and feeling like a fool, I whispered into the empty house. Ready or not, for a long moment there was nothing. Just the sound of an old house settling and my own heartbeat, and how ridiculous I felt. And then, from somewhere downstairs, in a house I knew for a fact was empty, someone began to hum. It was her tune, the exact tune she hummed every summer while we hid, a tune I hadn't heard in 20 years. Every rule I had ever memorized came rushing back at once. Rule 4. If you hear humming, she is close. Stay still. Do not answer. So I did the thing I'd done 100 times as a child. I stopped breathing and I held perfectly still. The humming came closer. Up the stairs, down the hall, right up to the bedroom door. And then it stopped. And then a voice I had buried that winter, soft and warm and completely certain, called my name. Once, it was her voice. It was exactly her voice. Every single part of me wanted to answer it. Twice. And I remembered Rule 5. You do not come out until the third call. So I waited, shaking, with my hand pressed over my own mouth. 3. The third call. The rule said this was the end of the game. This was the moment it was finally safe to come out. My hand was on the door. I was crying. I was ready to open it and see her face just one more time. And then it called my name a fourth time. From the other side of that door, in her voice, it called a fourth time. Rule 6. If she calls your name a fourth time, it is not her. Do not move. Do not breathe. Do not answer. I took my hand off the handle. I sank to the floor. And on the other side of that door, the thing wearing her voice began, very softly, to laugh. It called for me for hours, in her voice, sometimes crying, sometimes sweet, sometimes furious. I didn't move until the first gray light came through the window. When the sun finally came up, the humming stopped, the voice stopped, and the house was just a tired old empty house again. I opened the door. The hallway was empty, but on the floorboards just outside lay grandmother's locket, the one I had been gripping all night. I never told my family what happened that night, but I finally understood what my grandmother had truly been doing every summer for all of those years. The game was never a game. It was a lesson. She was drilling us on the rules so that when it finally came for us, we would already know how to survive it. She chose the night each year because she knew which night it would come. She counted us twice because she knew it could wear our own faces. And Rule 7, the one about a missing child at dawn. I think once, long before any of us were born, she learned that rule the hardest way there is. My grandmother is gone now. There is no one left who enforces the rules. No one left who knows which night we are supposed to fear. No one, that is, except for me. So this winter I gathered my own children and I handed them a card with 7 rules, written in my own shaking hand. I made them read every line aloud. They laughed at Rule 6, a fourth call, as if I would ever lose count. I did not laugh back, because I have added an 8th rule now, one my grandmother never needed. If grandmother ever knocks and asks to play, do not let her in. She is already inside. She never stopped playing.